First of all, Kelly, I did some research and I looked back into your history, obviously, just to get to know who you were a little bit and a little bit about you. And I see that you were born in New Orleans. You went to the Houston area after Katrina. Just talk a little bit about, if you could, about your ability to be able to adapt to where you are and just how important it would be for you to go, oh, you know what? I'm going to be here for a minute.
Yeah. Well, man, since I have been, on the move my whole life, I was born in New Orleans, like you said, 2005. I moved to Houston, Texas. That was probably the most triumphant time in my life because I was homeless for a little bit. But my dad got us out of the darkness. But from that point on, right before I moved to Houston, I was doing taekwondo and karate, things like that. And it really just instilled that disciplined mindset in my heart and in my mind. So, Bruce always says, be water, adapt and shape like water. So I've always adapted my life to, be water and adapt and shape to the form of whatever is around me. So that's just how I've been able to just get the edge of adapting in uncomfortable situations or uncertain situations, which obviously in the NBA, in life, period, we're always faced with those. So that's how.
You were just a little man when you guys got hit by Katrina down in New Orleans. What are your memories about that?
I don't have many memories, man. I remember being on the road. I remember being in the Motel 6. I remember feeling hopeless that because I couldn't help my dad, financially, I couldn't help him emotionally. All I could do was just stay strong, man. And that was the time that I really realized that I have to, make sure that we don't ever feel this pain and this hurt again. So, our backs were against the wall and he got us out that time, but I made sure that we would never have to face that type of adversity ever again. So,
yeah, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but what are some of the life lessons you learned throughout the process of going from New Orleans to Houston and just growing up?
I got to see different cultures. I got to see that the New Orleans culture is, very, uplifting, jazz music, fashion, just different. And then Texas is more strong. Everything is bigger. Everything is more, blast. So it was a total different scenery for me. And I got to really figure out how to adapt in multiple worlds. Cause, when I would go visit back in New Orleans and I would go, it was a totally different world than Texas. So my dad really just preached to me that you have to be able to adapt in certain universes. And, that was the biggest life lesson for me because I can adapt in any type of environment that I'm in. I can go sit in a meeting with some CEOs, or I can hang out with my homies and talk sports and play video games. So it's just the best of both worlds. And I was taught through the adversity, honestly.
Warriors fans, of course, when this trade first happened, they already reflected on the deal that happened a few years back when you were in Washington. And to me, it looks like just there was some passion going on both sides and all that stuff going on. But what's the message you want to give to these fans in terms of what they should see from you?
See growth. See a lot of maturity, man. It's about the game of basketball. It's about winning championships, as you guys already know. You can look back and see my time in Washington as a young kid who, was really just following who was leading, honestly, because I had to still find my voice as a leader in this league. And, it took me to leave Washington to Arizona to really find my voice as a leader. I was the youngest on that team. So I was really just riding for the ones who, were at the top of the food chain at the time. So that was literally it. If I could go back, I could really save my money, and realize that I had no business doing what I was doing. But at the end of the day, man, I am happy to go to war for each and every person on this roster. So, that's just the kind of guy that I am, man. I go to war for my brothers.
Yeah, some of that maturity obviously was on display in Phoenix. You were very popular there. There was even, I heard there were at one game where you heard MVP chants. Yeah. I'm like, okay, that had to be nice. So just talk about your Phoenix experience and what you remember from that night.
Yeah, I just appreciate the Phoenix fan base, man, for opening, up their hearts to a new kid from Washington, from the total other side of the world, the United States. Like, I came there, they probably didn't really know who I was, but I proved myself to each and every person that, came to a game or watched the Suns. And, I just tried to make that organization, rise. But at the end of the day, it's my same journey is, here in Golden State. Excuse me. So, I same me, same mindset for me to continue to just help this organization rise, higher and higher. And I'm just blessed to be able to just have, an organization who actually wants me and who loves me as well.
You can go ahead and say Oakland, San Francisco, Bay Area, whatever. It's all good, man.
Hey,
It's all
hey,
good.
hey, for sure.
In terms of basketball, Steve Kerr likes to say that in his mind, that the 2 and the 3 are the same position in many ways, and they're interchangeable. He said that about Clay and Andrew Wiggins when he was looking at those two. How do you feel about that? I mean, do you feel it's kind of sort of positionless too? How do you look at that?
I do. The way, my game is continuously grown is that you can throw me at pretty much any position and then I would, help the team out. So I just feel like it's positionless basketball. And, we all can adapt and adjust to different game plans and, play whatever position that on paper it says, but we're all basketball players over here. And, we all can formulate and adapt together on the court. So it's really, Coach Kerr is, he's a genius and he understands how to evolve with the game of basketball as he's always done. So, it's something that we can all put to the test and prove that there's no real positions in basketball anymore because you have centers dribbling and shooting step back threes now, just like you have point guards like Steph, just changing the game. So, the 2 and the 3 has always been that position that people have always noticed that, okay, who are the top guys? It's either a two-way defensive and offensive player or it's a point forward like LeBron. So, the guys like that who've paved the way for, small forwards, shooting guards, we've all become just positionless basketball players.
Who are the guys that, as you were growing up, most kids grow up and they decide at some point which direction they want to go, basketball, baseball, football, track, whatever. Mm-hmm. At what point did you decide basketball, and who are the people you studied and you watched as you were growing up and developing your game?
Michael Jordan, period. He's a statement for me because his competitiveness, his mentality, his ebb and flow of life really just, it stuck with me, man, because he had the flair, he had the mindset, he had the rage and energy to get his teammates on board with him, but he also was a leader in all of that. He was a leader and he embodied what it was to be a leader. A lot of people didn't like him at times or whatever the case. They didn't agree with his methods, but, he was somebody that just wanted to win, and I want to win. So, I always took that and put it in my, my tool bag because obviously, I'm not saying that I'm going to be Michael Jordan, but I can continuously work my ass off to be, the best Kelly Oubre Jr. that I can be. And that's all Mike did too.
From where you were in Washington and Phoenix and wherever else you may have been, what was your perception of the Warriors? Obviously, they won some championships, but as a team, I mean, watching Steph and Clay, and even when they had KD, Andre, and those guys, what was your perception of this team?
It's unfair. You can pull up my clips playing against these guys, man. I would always try to go hard, like extra hard playing against the Warriors, man, because I knew I had to bring my A game. And not a lot of teams around the league, for sure you have to bring your A game that night because you don't know what they're bringing. But this organization always kept it consistent with bringing their A game, bringing that passion, bringing that, that juice every night, because if you made a mistake, they would demolish you. And, that's something that I really respected, and it always brought the best out of me. So now to be on this team, that's the same energy. I'm bringing my A game, so everybody has to continuously remember that if you don't come to play, we're gonna be here and bring our A game. So
Draymond likes to say that there's 82 game players and then there's 16 game players, meaning the postseason. You got a little taste of that in Washington. Mm-hmm. What do you remember about the postseason, and what makes you so anxious to want to get back to that stage?
The energy in the postseason is completely different than it is for the first 82 games. I remember in Washington, we had our first home game against Toronto or Atlanta, one of the two, and the seats were filled with T-shirts. You see the NBA playoff posters. It's a total different league, pretty much. It's like, it's something that I could never explain, but I could always want to go fight and get to that feeling in that postseason, because it's a different level of basketball, and only the best can play in that postseason.
Warriors fans love guys that have personality, come in, and obviously you have one. So Take me through, because I mean, I heard, Wave Poppy to Tsunami Poppy, Wave Lord. I mean, what do your nicknames mean, and just why are they important to you to have those alter egos?
Yeah, man. Well, a wave is pretty much just ebb and flow of water, obviously. And like I told you earlier in the interview, man, I've always prided myself on being water, adapting and, being shapeless and formless and still in my mind. And that is allowing me to reach my full potential in life. And, I want to continue to just prove that and not just talk about it. But yeah, my names are my funny nicknames or whatever, but they're really characters for somebody to just not think of Kelly Oubre Jr. as this person who's speaking this psychology or spirituality. It's tsunami, because I was wave and then I grew to tsunami once I felt like I was at this point of, my life where I wanted to really just take off. And I'm here now and I'm ready to take off. So if you don't really necessarily like Kelly Oubre Jr., you have to like tsunami and wave, man. There's no choice. So it's about personal growth though. That's all it is.
Last two things. One, some players have come to the Warriors, have to adapt to the culture because, and one example is guys coming here and saying and hearing music before and during practice, and it might be hard, hard hip hop, it might be anything. And guys are like, y'all play music during practice? Well, now more teams do it, but have you been in a situation like that? And what do you anticipate looking forward to and having that kind of a backdrop while you're going through stuff?
It's funny. Today was my first day, in the weight room on the court, and I'm asking for the aux cord. Like I'm asking so I can get some energy, some vibes going. But that was already, the music was already planned before I even started lacing up, because it's understood. You need some energy, you need something to continue to get you going through the day, and I think we're on the same page here with that. It's about fine tuning what everybody likes to listen to. So we're not just blowing each other up with a hard hip hop murder music, or then it's like some guys might like some softer, smooth jazz, but I can adapt to all of that. So it's, as long as we can come to an agreement on what we like listening to on certain days, we can do that.
Yeah. Guys always took turns. I mean, Boogie Cousins liked Isley Brothers, Mellow, he was old school dude. So, what's that?
Surprising. Man.
Yeah. So for Boogie, yeah, he wanted, no, I want Mellow, man. I get the other stuff already. I got that. I need to slow down a little bit. So give me, like, when it comes time for you to pick the music for that practice or that day or whatever, what do you think you're going to look toward in terms of, give me 4 or 5 songs or artists that you say, I'm probably going to lean on some of these guys?
Well, for me, it's about the energy of the day, or whatever we're facing, whatever task or challenge we're facing that day. I can be somebody totally different. I like the smooth jazz playlist on Spotify. That's like my very chill, day. No words, just continue classical music, like good energy. Or I can go to your traditional NBA YoungBoy and, just be a young millennial kid and just listen to like some real headbanging stuff. But, one of my favorite artists is Rex Life Raj. He's actually from the Bay Area, and he just is the smoothest cat, and he speaks to the soul. And that's just some music that's very, very inspiring for me to just continue to go and be my best self. So, I have those 3 type of moods that I'm in, and you can classify the artists under those, but it's all different types of energy.
It's not New Orleans and the Bay, but the Bay got some music around here. So I'm sure you already know that, but you'll get more of it now, man. Welcome to the Bay Area.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
All right, loved one. Thank you.